Hello and welcome back, and in this video we are going to be creating our toggle completed function in core data. Essentially, this function is going to allow us to change the state of a certain record. Basically, the state meaning completed state, and we'll be able to basically toggle between completed and not completed state. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to create a new function, and we're going to call this toggle completed because we are toggling between the completed and not completed state of the task. Okay, so we're gonna simply say toggle completed, and this guy is going to take an ID which is going to be of type UUID, and we're going to create first thing we're going to create is going to be a fetch request. What we want to do is we want to fetch a record that matches the ID that user has provided, or basically we have provided through this parameter, and then we want to pull only that record that actually matches the ID. Now ID is unique, it is a UUID, so ideally what you would get is a single record. Now when we are creating this fetch request is going to fetch us multiple, like it's going to basically fetch a single record but in an array. So what we're going to do, just to be safe, we're going to iterate over the array and mark completed for all the items that match this that ID that's being passed in. In ideal situation, or like in most of the situation, because we are creating this unique ID, the ID is always going to be unique, and you're going to receive just a single record from that fetch request. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our fetch request first. Once again, we're gonna basically create this fetch request of type task, so we can create the fetch request directly using task NSManage object. Now next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a predicate. Now predicate is the way where we actually create a conditional where statement. So you can think of fetch request as select star from, and predicate is when we define the condition where ID is equal to this and this. Okay, so that's what predicate is, and it is an object of NS predicate type, which takes in a formatted value that basically lets us define the condition. In this case, it is going to be ID. We're going to say ID equal %@. At represents basically percent represents the argument, at represents the string value, and we're going to take our ID and basically convert or get its UUID string representation by UUID string property. And now when we have our predicate ready, we're going to simply attach this predicate to the fetch request. Okay, so NS fetch request has a property called predicate, and we're going to simply assign our predicate to that fetch request predicate. Now all we got to do is basically go into do try catch block. So let's write our do catch first. Okay, and then we're going to basically execute our fetch request. So we're going to say fetched tasks are basically try context dot fetch and pass the fetch request, and then we're going to basically just go over each task. And we're going to say task dot completed is equal to not task dot completed. Now if the task is marked completed, In that case, we're gonna simply update completed on to the current date. Okay, now once we have gone through, so let's talk about this part, and then we're gonna basically talk about the next one. So whenever you execute a fetch request, even though there is a single record that will be found because of this ID condition, context.fetchRequest always sends an array of records. Now you have few options. You can change this to if let, and you can use first, and you can put a where condition where you can compare the ID. Well, in our case, it's not necessary because honestly, it's only going to be one record, and this is pretty harmless because we have single record that we are iterating over, and we're just going into that. This is just for safekeeping in case you have multiple records that are found, but they're not going to be found. So let me show you the alternate approach as well. So you have both approaches in your code, and you know both of them. Okay, so I'm going to comment this, and I'm going to come here and I'm going to say if let fetched task is equal to try context dot fetch from the fetch request dot first, and we can actually define the where condition. I'm going to say $0, which is the first argument that's been passed, dot ID is equal to the ID that's been passed in. Okay, so what we get here is basically just that one record which has the whose value we want to update. Okay, so we're gonna simply take this task.completed. I'm gonna uncomment this. Let's go ahead and reformat our code, and now we are doing the same thing. We are basically saying take the fetch task and its completed state, and if the fetch task completed is changed, then mark the completed on as the current date. Okay, now either case is gonna work, and they both have they both are gonna practically execute at the same complexity. Basically, this is even if there is a for loop here, it's not gonna execute more than once. Okay, so both approaches are good. Now next thing we want to do is we have staged all of our changes. We have marked the completed state, we have updated the completed on, but we have not saved our changes yet. So let's go ahead and save the change by calling save context, which is going to save the current context and basically eventually updating the record on the disk. Okay, all right, with that we have reached the end of this video, and in the next video we're gonna basically create our delete function for Core Data Manager. So I'll see you guys there. Thank you.